Okay, so again, if you have any questions today during our presentation, feel free to put them in the chat. We will be fielding that. So if anyone has any particular questions, please do not hesitate. And then our presenter will go ahead and cover them at the end. And if you are looking for your certificate, that will be sent out either later today or tomorrow to everyone who is attending here. So you'll get the certificate of professional development after you complete the post-viewing survey. Additionally, we have a couple of little goodies that are going to be sprinkled out throughout our presentation from our presenter, the discovery source. So they will speak more on that later. Two will be given away to some folks chosen at random, and then the other one, I'll save the details for later, and we can see how you can enter to win that one as well. So with all of that being said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our director, Cindy Lanehoff, to do the introduction of our speaker today. Go ahead, Cindy.
Good afternoon. I'd like to thank all of our participants for taking time out to join us today. I think we have a wonderful opportunity to hear from Sandy Ampudia, who is the Director of Professional Development at the Discovery Source. She has more than 20 years experience as an early intervention speech pathologist and early childhood educator. Her experience and knowledge of supporting classroom teachers and their families have provided her the space and opportunity to partner with organizations like ours within the early childhood community. She is bringing to us some magic today, and going to share with us some very effective techniques that can be used to reduce incidents in the classroom. And we all know that this is a topic that more and more we are getting requests to bring forth to our members. So again, I'm going to introduce Sandy to you without further ado. And again, I want to thank Sandy and the Discovery Source for providing this great information on our webinar today.
Thank you, and welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you for having us today. We're so glad to have the opportunity to take this time and review key important strategies that we all need when we are in the classroom. Thank you for having us today. We're going to make the most out of this hour that you're going to spend with us. So I want to know what are we covering today in our agenda. We're going to talk a little bit about what are the difficult incidents that we have in our classrooms, and sometimes that we can look at the different behavior reasons. What is causing the behavior? Because when we get to know what is causing the behavior, then we get a chance to know what to do. And then I want to present to you different strategies, ideas, materials maybe that you already have in your classroom, but I'm going to divide it like in three different kind of choices that you can make when you're dealing with an incident in your classroom. You can have a classroom choice. You can use time to manage the behavior, or you can use activities. And then I'm going to show you different kind of activities. Maybe these are not new activities, but maybe you would like to consider to incorporate some of these activities in different way throughout the day. And also we're going to talk about self-esteem and self-regulation, these two important social emotional skills that we need to build, that we need to help our children to develop. So we're going to talk about a little bit about how we can use positive language, how we can use sensory experiences and some movement and sensory experiences that will help children to release the energy that they have when they are experiencing some difficult moments. Remember that we have the chat available and the Q&A. If you have any questions throughout the session, please feel free to send us a little message. We'll try to respond or to cover some of the questions towards the end. Before we start, I would like to know, when you saw the webinar in your calendar, when you got the invitation, You're like, I would like to hear this. Why? What are some of the expectations that you have for this session today? How do you think we can make your days easier, more effective, after you review some of the strategies that we have in this session? Would you like to write some ideas in the chat? I know we cannot open the mic, we're in a webinar format, but would you like to write some expectations that you have for today? Or what would you like to take away from this hour that we're going to share? So I can kind of tailor a little bit our content towards your needs. And I think I have access to the chat. So if you can write like keywords about what are your expectations for today? What would you like to learn about that magic that we have as teachers and the power that we have to change behavior in the classroom? Strategies to share with your teachers. And and thank you for being here. Directors are always welcome because you are the ones that can promote and encourage teachers to use the same strategy school-wide so that you can see it everywhere. So thank you. Also, how we can manage behaviors and emotions and how you can see this in your class. Great. Different directions and difficult behaviors and difficult moments and strategies to help with transitions. Transitions are big important piece of our days, and we need to have opportunities, learning opportunities within. So thank you. Thank you for your comments and your expectations. I would like to include some of these expectations throughout our presentation. Thank you for your participation. So let's start reviewing what is a challenging behavior. And let's review the ages that we're working with, right? So we're working with young children, 0 to 5, 0 to 6, 0 to 7. And we know that young children are little humans with big emotions. And what happens is that they don't know how to handle those emotions. They don't know how to manage and demonstrate those emotions. And most children, they have difficult time coping with the strong feelings, with the strong emotions. And they are reacting. They don't know how to manage. And that's why they have difficulties coping and reacting. So why do we need to teach social emotional skills? Because these are key components of academic success, right? We teach, if we think about our planning, we have a column and plan for colors, letters, numbers, shapes, for language activities, math activities, science activities. Sometimes we plan for nutrition activities. What is our planning for social emotional skills? We all want children to behave, to know how to cope with the strong feelings, but the same way that we're teaching other skills, we need to teach social emotional skills. Because children are having difficulties learning how to integrate all the information that they're receiving and how to react and how to respond in a culturally appropriate way. So sometimes I would like to reframe challenging behaviors for difficult incidents, because we need to look at the definition of challenging behavior as that pattern of behavior that is interfering with learning. When the child cannot learn because of the incidents and the behaviors that he is exhibiting. But so often in our classroom with young children, we just have difficult incidents, like incidents, physical incidents, like hitting, pushing, pinching others. We have incidents towards themselves, towards peers. Sometimes we have incidents with materials when they're throwing toys, but not just throwing toys by aiming, right? How they aim and they throw that block directly to somebody else's forehead. Sometimes we have incidents when children are reacting and they are destroying materials. Sometimes we have some kind of avoidance behaviors or incidents when children are running away. For example, when you're coming back from the playground and you say, everybody, we're coming back. And you always have one that is like running away in a way that is like, catch me if you can, right? We consider that a challenging behavior. And maybe it's a difficult incident to manage. And some children are avoiding connection with others. They're children that they not respond to you, that they cannot make connections with you. You're trying to establish a conversation and they don't want to have a conversation with you. They don't connect with peers. And some of these incident behaviors always have a reason. Remember that behavior always communicates something. Usually behavior has two main reasons. One is the children want to obtain something. They want your help, they want your attention, they want that toy, they want time, right? And sometimes they need to avoid. They don't want to do the activity anymore. They feel overwhelmed because it's either too much noise, too more light, a lot of activities going on at the same time. And it's hard for children to integrate all that sensory information to perform a task. Sometimes it's the contrary. Children need to move. Children need opportunities for more active play. We're working with young children who are still developing their brains. Every day we are building their brains. And especially young children, they do develop their brains through movement. Sometimes we ask young children to sit crisscross applesauce or to sit most of the time. And sometimes they do exhibit some of the behaviors because they just need to move, right? They just need to stretch. And we consider those challenging behaviors, but they're more difficult incidents in the middle of an activity that we would like to redirect. Sometimes young children don't have enough language to communicate their basic needs. And they feel overtired, or they're hungry, or they're sleepy, and they don't know how to express that. They don't say, oh, teacher, I'm so frustrated. I cannot drink some water. They cannot say that. They don't have that language to put together those needs. So they demonstrate this through behaviors. And that's why we always need to consider our developmental milestones as our principal guidance to know where to go and where to take our children every year. It doesn't matter if you're in a toddler classroom, in a 1-year-old classroom, in a 3-year-old classroom, you're in a VPK classroom. You need to go, where is the developmental stage? And then you need to see if this incident is a challenging behavior or is just a developmental stage. Because sometimes we don't have clear behavior expectations that relate to the age group that we're working with. And sometimes we ask for things that children are not ready, or we ask for children to do things that children already know and we don't offer any challenge. And children get bored. And they also demonstrate some behaviors when the developmental stage is not aligned with their needs. So I always would like you to consider that some of the developmental stage are related to how children are developing their own social emotional skills. If you're working with toddlers and you have a teenager at home, bingo, you have kind of a same developmental stage because they want to be independent, but they still need your help, right? Don't you have a toddler that he wants to eat independently, but he doesn't know how to scoop and how to eat? Or when they're trying to dress themselves and they're like, no, me. And they want to try some things that They would like to feel independent, but they still need your help. They are still learning how to communicate. They are communicating to you what are the things that they like and what are the things that they dislike. They're developing their self-confidence. They're learning to know who they are, what are the things that they can do, what are the things that they need help with. And also remember that they're always developing language skills. So they need help expressing their ideas, their wants, their needs, and their emotions. So young children do not understand logic. That's why we don't ask them about, why did you do that? Because they don't understand why they're doing this. They're just communicating something through their behavior. They still have a hard time waiting for something and self-control. They don't know how to keep hands by themselves. They're still struggling. They need more time. They need more practice. They want that what they want when they wanted it, especially our toddlers. They need some time to practice and express their feelings. They change their feelings and their mood swings, right? They're happy and suddenly they're crying. But they need a little bit of understanding and patience from you to understand how they can express feelings with words. And sometimes, you know what? They cannot settle for a substitute. They want that red car and that's the one that he wants. And then if you offer the yellow or the blue, he's like, well, still not happy with that. So we need to help children to develop those self-regulation skills. And they're learning every day. So that's why they have this exponential growth factor. Remember, they have some weeks that they're developing more one skill than other ones. For example, when you see your little ones, your babies, your toddlers, they start to walk, they walk and you hardly listen to their voices because they pay a lot of attention on how they can master that skill of moving forward and with balance. Same thing happened with different developmental stages across the different skill areas. And remember, they want to be independent. They want to have some autonomy and identity. So that's why we're going to share with you some of the strategies that can help them to know who they are and what are the things that they can do. They would like some independence, but they need you and they need your time and your attention to know how to do this. So let's think about this. When we have incidents in the classroom, sometimes we, the teachers, have negative reactions to the behavior. And sometimes, not knowing that we are reacting, we are triggering and helping children to escalate on that behavior. So that's why I would like you to consider from now on how we can ignore that behavior, but know that child. If your child is out of control, demonstrating any of the incidents, he is not harming himself, or he's not harming others, or he's not destroying materials, it could be very effective if we reduce the attention to the negative behavior, and then we increase the attention to validating their feelings, their emotions, their expressions in that moment. You just need to acknowledge what he's doing and how he's expressing his anger, his frustration, his disappointment without judging. It's not either a right or wrong what you're doing. It's just this. I notice you are disappointed because you didn't get that turn in the track. You're stomping your feet and you're crossing your arms and you're frowning and your mouth is this big. I know you are upset. And they're like, what? What do you know? How do you know? So when you start acknowledging that child, the expression, the reaction of that emotion in that moment, children will pay attention. And then you can say something positive, almost like an effective command. How you can let him know that he could be your helper when he is calm and ready. That's called clear behavior expectations. I notice you're upset. I notice you don't want to be part of this activity, but when you're calm and ready, I need somebody that help me to pass around the construction paper. You are not reinforcing the negative behavior. You're offering comfort when you're acknowledging that feeling, when you're acknowledging that child. I know you're upset. Do you need some time? When you're ready, let me know. I need help. Or maybe you can go and pick his favorite book and start reading the book out loud. It's communicating that you are a present teacher, that you're still a loving person that is there, eager to engage with the child, even if he is demonstrating some strong emotions. But we need to validate strong emotions because we tend to avoid, to ignore. It's like, no. We don't want angry people in this classroom. Let me see your happy face. And then he gets worse, right? And they start kicking like, you don't understand that I am upset? You're not seeing this? So let me show you. So it's important to acknowledge and describe the feeling and emotion, and then to offer some choices. So after you have difficult incidents, we're saying at the beginning of the session that we can offer 3 different choices. We can offer classroom choices, time choices, or activity choices. So when I think about classroom choices, I think about our environment, our classroom environment, the different activities, the different places that you have in your classroom. And we all know mostly, or most of the teachers, they have a special cozy corner, a peaceful place, however you want to call it. And then you have that special place, and then you will talk in a very proactive way in advance how you can use that special corner over there as a safe space when you need a break, including you as a teacher. Sometimes we need a break. Don't you feel sometimes that you say, oh, I'll need 3 minutes. I need just 5 minutes. But preschool classrooms are busy places and we don't have 5 minutes. But you have a peaceful corner. So what about if you also model to children how sometimes you need a break? And you say, you know what? Miss Sandy needs a break. Let me go sit in our peaceful corner. I need to go there and I'll show you where that little pieces that we can put in there. That teacher can model. Remember, there's something called self and parallel talk as an effective command, as an effective behavior that we can demonstrate in the classroom, is how you describe your own actions. You describe your own feelings, you describe your own behavior so children can see it, right? And then you can include in that designated space some choices that you can play with those choices. You can present all the choices to the group, and then you can ask children to place them in a special basket. You can decorate a special box, and you can add different materials in there. And when you have that opportunity to take a break, it's like you're reframing, you're approaching this time away from others in a very loving and supportive way. It's not a punitive, like go sit in the corner and think about what you did. That's called timeout. We just call it now, go sit and think about it. No, it's like how you can be more, demonstrate more caring, more teacher sensitivity to those moments. Remember that no learning takes place when children are in the middle of the emotional state. That's our brain. Our brain doesn't respond when you're in the middle of an emotional turmoil. Our prefrontal lobe says, you're not ready to make decisions. You're not taking a decision right now, so you don't need to think about it. Deal with emotions first. So where, what, and how would you like to put in that little corner? So maybe you have a little space. Maybe you have a little corner where you can place some cozy materials. Remember, textures for young children are important. So if you can add some cushions, some pillows, something that feels soft. You say, well, you know what? I don't have that big classroom. That's beautiful, but I don't have that classroom. You know what? We have, in every school, we have these big, huge boxes where materials are coming from, either from the food program or for furniture, but we always have big boxes. What about if we take one of these big boxes and we decorate that box with our children, and we make that big box our peaceful corner, our cozy cove, like the one that we have in the picture. We decorated it with children, we add things in there, we model how I can get in and get out. So you can open the box during active time, and when you need to put all the cots down and prepare for nap time, you can close the box, put it flat, and put it behind your shelf. In the afternoon, you can bring this to the playground. So you can add a lot of things in that cozy corner. We'll talk about what are the materials that you can add, but that's some of the classroom choices that you can add to your activities. Now, before we go, do you have any other ideas or choices? Where would you like to place this in your classroom? If you like to add a word or two in the chat, that will be great. And thank you for all the comments. I see that chat is full of wonderful comments. Thank you, Wendy, also for saying the use of positive language, providing positive language for redirecting children. And we'll talk about a little bit more about this in a little bit. A portable, yeah, I love the portable idea too. And you know what is the good thing? That children usually get bored of the same things throughout the year. You can change your cozy cove to that throughout the year. Right now, you can decorate it with Valentine's hearts. And then when Easter comes, you can decorate it with something else. It's like a seasonal special corner when children can use and take a break. So thank you for your comments. And I hope you find some of these ideas useful to bring it into your classroom. Now, let's talk about time. After difficult incidents, we can offer some time choices. You're like, what do you think time? It's like, I don't have time. That's the only thing that I don't have in my classroom. But when I think about time is how you approach the break time. Is for how long would you allow that child to go into that special place? Are you sending that child to that special place? You are counting the time. You are allowing children choices to stay there. Like, how would you measure time for you or for your children? So here's a couple of ideas, and always depend on your children. You know your children better than anybody else, so you'll say, okay, this is the choice. This is a good option for the group of children that I'm working with this year. So one approach is to have the break ending when you notice that the child is calm. And it's a good option because that means you are aware. You're monitoring that child. You're frequently asking, how are you doing in there? How are you feeling? Are you feeling calm? Do you want me to play with you, to breathe with you, to see the pictures with you? So you're offering some kind of communication, proximity, awareness, that child notice that you know that he's still there. So this is option number one. You say, I think you're ready because you are calm. And remember also the use of the positive language. Another option is to give them a couple of minutes, and then either with a timer or with your phone, and then just 2 minutes and come back and check in with them. And at this point, if you're checking in and the child is still upset, but the child is no longer out of control and is accepting your comfort and your proximity, you can help that child to move on and to offer something else to do. Remember, you're not giving it to whatever caused the original behavior. Is that you're helping children to learn that they can calm themselves. And then you have different choices and alternatives for children to accept, to look at pictures, to look at books, to use sensory toys. But you're giving this option for that child to remove himself or herself from the group and find a different ways to calm down. So what option, what time choice do you think will work for your children? Just checking in every 2 or 3 minutes, or just monitoring the child and ending the break when you notice they're calm, or sit there with proximity and when they're not upset anymore, offering some choices. So think about what is the best choice that will fit the needs of your children. Okay, now, so let's think about, and what are the activities, what are the different choices that we can offer? What are the different alternatives? What are the different options that we can offer? And I know we have wonderful comments in the chat about what are the different activities that you can offer, like the library area, if you have a library area, and then you can add books in there. We're going to talk about books, and you can add so many other materials that can help the child to calm down. So let's think about how we can help our children to calm down and to engage in some activity. Because a key component of helping children to calm down is offering choices, is redirecting that mind, that emotional mind that it's upset and doesn't know how to deal with, how to cope with that reaction in the moment with different activities. First, and it's free, and we can do it every day, at least 3 times a day, and children will love it. And you as a teacher will love it because you always are taking care of yourself first to help others. It's called breathing exercises. So who is practicing breathing exercises as a part of your routine? Do you establish any breathing exercises throughout the day? What about we start that day, circle time, with some breathing exercises, right? We have many different choices. You have different techniques. You can offer choices of breathing exercises with visual cues. You can present pictures. You can play with different objects. You can play, smell the flower, blow the candle piece, right? That was the one that works for me the best. Like if you have a flower and who doesn't know how to blow a candle, and then you practice, smell the flower, blow the candle, and you pass the object, and then you ask children to draw their own pictures of flowers and their own flames, and then you create your own set of breathing exercises. You practice this in a very proactive way. When they're in a good mood, when they're ready to start the day, maybe you can practice breathing exercises as a transition. Many of you say, what could be some of the good transitions to offer? Breathing exercises. When we're coming from the playground, can we practice breathing exercises as we're walking down the hallway to the classroom? Can we practice breathing exercises as we're waiting for lunch? Can we practice belly breathing exercises when we're getting ready to take a nap? We should include breathing exercises throughout our routine. And remember, you need to consider all the different learning styles that you have in your classroom, because not all children will learn the activity the same way. Remember, you have visual learners, auditory learners, but especially in early childhood years, we have kinesthetic learners. children that are learning by moving. So sometimes we need to follow the child's lead. Children teacher, can we jump? Like, would you like to jump? Let's jump together. Clear behavior expectations. We're gonna jump 10 times in place before we sit and listen to the story. And then you model that desired behavior. Like in place, I mean in my square here, I'm gonna jump and then sit. And then guess what? That positive attention. You'll praise, you'll acknowledge any neutral and expected behavior you observe in the classroom. Because children do demonstrate expected behaviors, I'll say more than 75% of the time. They walk in the classroom, they sit, they listen, they use helping hands, but only when he's running in the classroom, you say, hey, come here. What is the rule? In the classroom, we walk. And he's been like, I've been walking the past 3 hours and you didn't say anything. But when I'm running, you call me by name and you take my hand and you take me to the poster. Remember, behavior is communicating something. So we change that lenses and we start paying attention to the positive. And then you say something like, I love the way you're sitting around the carpet, waiting for the story. And they're saying, you say, Johnny, I like the way you're sitting. And Mariah, I like the way that you're crossing your legs. And look at Laura sitting with her friend. And they're like, teacher. Because they love your time and attention. They love to be called by names, right? So what are some ideas of interaction that you can add, that you can present? Remember, we're trying to redirect that mind. How we can add activities and effective strategies that can help the children to find a way to manage their own emotions. So what about we have a photo album full of happy moments? Don't you have beautiful, wonderful pictures of happy moments in your classroom? We have birthday celebrations, Easter Day, Mother's Day, the firefighters came, visit. You have wonderful pictures. Things is that now we have digital pictures. They will have the pictures in our phones. What about you print out a couple of nice pictures when you have at least one picture of every child in your classroom smiling, involved in a happy moment. And then you go and get like a dollar store album, and then you print and have moments, happy moments in your classroom. And in that cozy cave, you have the album. And when that child needs a break, and you say, I'm up, you wanna go and you wanna see some happy moments? It's like a magic. How they open the album and say, teacher, do you remember? It's just easy. To acknowledge you are upset. I noticed you don't want to participate. Would you like to take a break? Would you like to look at the album? Would you like to look at your face? Would you like to see the different faces? Remember, sensory experiences. You like to have things that children can touch, that they can, maybe you like counting. Children like to count, right? I have a teacher that she says, oh, I found out that when he's counting, how old is he? It's like boom, you're redirecting that behavior. He's upset. Oh, but remember, you can control yourself. How old are you? And he's like, 1, 2, 3, like counting. They can count with their fingers. You have counting bears. You can help children to move. Can we help children to do a stretching? Can we help children to move with clear behavior expectations? You have beautiful family pictures around your classroom. We can use many of these important activities to offer a little bit for everyone, because that's what we want. We want everyone to have something that they can do, because we're building self-regulation. We're building self-confidence. We want children to make choices. Oh, that's key in preschool years. If you ask the child, sit, and he doesn't, she's like, no. Can we offer controlled choices? Would you like to sit with your friend or would you like to sit with me? I want to sit with my friend. But they're sitting and you're not struggling and you're not fighting. So we need to pick and choose different battles, but you need to offer different choices to calm down in different ways. At the Discovery Source, we put together some of these materials and they're ready-made for you to use in the classroom. And I think this is a good moment to do one of the giveaways. So Courtney, would you like to pick someone from the audience to give them one of our family calming kits?
Absolutely. We have 75 attendees, which is awesome. And I'm going to choose someone at random. I am going to choose Zach Smithers. So Zach, if you wouldn't mind messaging in the chat just to make sure you're here and with us, then I'm going to put my email in the chat. So I'm going to ask that if you are selected, you please email me your shipping address and that you were chosen for a giveaway so we can make sure we get you those materials. So I'm going to just give Zach a minute to respond in the chat. Again, Zach Smithers, if you want to shoot us a message to let us know you're here, that would be great. Or I can pick somebody else in a few moments too.
Yeah, so I'd like to respond some of the questions that we have in the chat. So that it says, what tips for children who refuse to go to these calm down spaces? Because sometimes I know those challenging behaviors, they're like an extreme and they're defiant, like I don't want to go. So they don't need to go to that place to practice with you any of these calm down activities. For example, if that child is an active child and he will prefer a physical activity instead of a quiet activity, you can ask the child if he would like to jump with you. So because it relates to kinesthetic learners. Remember that some children are kinesthetic. So that means they're receiving information, they're integrating their information through the muscles and the joints. That's why we have children that they go to occupational therapy. And then they throw things, right? They push, they put puzzles together, they jump, like, well, but the lady's playing with that child because he needs an extra time to integrate all of this information with movement activities. And if they all want to go, what a great opportunity to say, hey, everybody, before we start reading the book, we're gonna jump. How many times? And ask children, remember when you offer choices, how many times would you like to jump? 5, 10, 20? They say 20. Say, okay, let's jump together in place, clear behavior expectations. In your place, in your letter, in your square, we're gonna count to 20 and then we'll sit. After we jump, we sit and we listen to the story. Are you ready? And they're like, ready. And then they start jumping. 1, they're like, my teacher is crazy. She wants us to jump with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. By 10, they're like, you say 20, keep jumping. 11, 12, 13, 19, 20. Can you feel that the breathing? Can you feel the beating of your heart? Would you practice some breathing exercises? And that third time, we're gonna sit and listen to the story. Ideally, you would like to practice this with all children in the classroom first, because when you have an opportunity to redirect that child, then everybody knows about the activity and it will be easier. Courtney, did we get a response from our winner?
Yep. So Zach has won a family calming kit. They responded in the chat. They were sharing the same computer. So in a little bit, we'll also be giving away a classroom calming kit. So stick around.
So we have some of these pieces that we're explaining here, and a calming kit. We call it a calming kit because it's helping teachers to assist children in finding ways to calm down. And that's why also we want to train the inside voice to be a positive voice, not just for children, but for teachers. Remember that we always have this voice talking to you. Like right now you're here and you're like, oh, I need to do that lesson plan. Oh, I need to pay this and this, like the inside voice, right? Let's try to train that inside voice to be a positive voice. We need to help children to know how wonderful and unique they are. So we need to pay attention to the positive attributes and the strengths and positive characteristics that they have. So what about if you take that list of the students in your classroom and you start writing down at least 2 or 3 positive attributes, positive characteristics, or strengths that they have. And once a week, you call that challenge, you say, come with me and repeat after me. I'm going to tell you something wonderful. Positive affirmations. You are persistent. You are active. You are a good helper. We have something that we call it's a magic phone. It's called the self-positive phone, so that you can call yourself and say positive things. Do this to yourself early in the morning. Say, I am the most wonderful preschool teacher in the area. I know how to shape behavior. I know how to build a future. And then speak about how wonderful and unique they are. Children don't know what are things that they can do if you are not telling them what to do. Instead of telling them what not to do. Repeat positive affirmation as a part of your routines. Create chants with your classroom. Let's go. And then the name of your classroom. We are unique. Teach your brains. You are wonderful. You are unique. You're a strength. Do a big round of praising so children feel validated. They feel unique and special. Also, we're talking about this before. The powerful use of positive language. Try to pay more attention to the positive. For every single way of expressing, giving directions, redirecting behavior, you have a positive way. As a teacher, you know how you use every single piece that you can find around. As a teacher, classroom teacher, I love to have different lenses. So when I was about to give a round of positive feedback, I was putting on my positive lenses. And I was giving my children a round of positive praising, just objectively describing what they were doing at the moment, how they were coloring with black, how they were putting blocks one on top of the other one, describing what they're doing in a positive way, telling children what they can do in a most positive way, because children will love your time and attention. But sometimes they get your time and attention when they're exhibiting the negative behavior. So let's try to reframe also our own language. And if you have children that they're frequently touching things, they're distracted because they found a little piece in the carpet and they're pulling the string, right? So let's bring also a little box, a little basket of materials that children can squeeze. You can create Play-Doh with them. They can squeeze, because sometimes children need to release the energy, the stress, and they come to you like, hey, teacher, right? They would like to squeeze you. They already squeeze a friend, or they squeeze themselves because they don't know how to release the energy. We have a bunch of wonderful materials in the classroom that your children can squeeze, that you can use bubbles also for sensory experiences, to help children to practice breathing exercises, but also to regulate the breathing, the slow breathing. You can create Play-Doh with them. If you just ask Dr. Google for Play-Doh recipes, you'll find most wonderful recipes that you can make with children in the classroom. Also, we have wonderful art materials in the classroom. Drawing can help children to calm their minds, not only to decorate hearts for Valentine's, but just to calm their minds, just to mix colors, just to write letters, just to shape and mold in some activities. So offer some of these activities to children, and you will notice how you can redirect. So as a checkpoint, think about how many of these activities you can use. How many of these materials you already have in your classroom? How you can redirect children and using these materials to release, to relax, to calm down. So if you would like to make a list of some of the activities and ideas that we just share with you and put it in your lesson plan. Because remember, you are the only one that can use these proactive actions in your classroom to prevent the escalation of the difficult incident. If you're already dealing with challenging behavior, there's like reset. Let's try all over again. Let's start with breathing exercises. Let me start validating feelings and emotions. Let me use more positive language. Let me tell that child that is driving me crazy how wonderful he is, because he is very active. Oh, he is a good helper. He has good friends. So what about we try to reframe our own language on how we can approach the behavior and how they see you with different approach. They will change their behavior. So I think this is another wonderful moment to give away another calming kit.
I think so. Okay, so I'm going to pick someone else at random, and that is going to be Patricia Scruggs. Do you want to send a message in the chat again, Patricia Scruggs, and let us know that you're with us for the classroom calming kit giveaway? And she said she is here. Okay, awesome. So Patricia, I'm going to put my email in the chat again. Feel free to email me your shipping information or shoot me your email in the chat, whatever works best for you. And go ahead, Sandy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So wonderful. Thank you for your time. I hope you find some of these strategies useful, and maybe you're like, I had that in my classroom and never thought about using it this way. So remember that all our little ones need just a little help, a little hope, and somebody who believes in them. And I think that we can change trajectories. We're working with the most important developmental stage and child development. We can change. We're shaping brains. So I hope you find all this information positive and effective and wonderful. And if you would like to know more about all the other materials and supports that we have, please visit our website. Thank you for the opportunity to be with you today. And I know we have a couple of questions.
Yeah, we have a few questions in the chat. So go back and look at those. So the first one we have is about, it says, these are great prevention tips for full-blown tantrums. However, sometimes when children do get to the point where they're already lost control, I end up having to take the child out of the room and go for a walk. I'm wondering what else I can try with these children.
Yeah, I think the key is prevention, right? That's why we call it the proactive strategies, because you don't want to get to the point when the child is exhibiting the behavior to offer a choice. That's why we say you can use all these strategies with all children in the classroom. So that way, when they are losing control, then you have different choices. You have the quiet spaces, you have the physical activities, you have the breathing exercises, you have the sensory experiences. So it's almost like you have a toolkit of choices. If that child, by walking, but the thing that walking out of the classroom sometimes is reinforcing the behavior, because maybe that's what he wants, is to avoid that activity that you were doing, and he's demonstrating these behaviors because he doesn't know how to do the activity that you're presenting next. And then he's kicking and throwing things around, so that you say, can you walk with him? And he's like, I got it, right? I got out of my classroom. I don't need to do this. So maybe we need just to see when he's exhibiting the behaviors and think about, why is he doing this at this time of the day? It's always when we're getting ready to read the story. It's always when we're doing phonological awareness. It's always when we're writing our names. Maybe that child is missing some skills to perform that activity. So let's try and see what is behind, because remember, the behavior is always communicating something. And when the child wants to avoid activities because he's missing skills to perform at the same level that their friends are performing. So maybe if we can offer a little bit of help, and then you notice, oh, it's that because he doesn't know how to write his name. You are absolutely right. So what are the different choices that we can offer to help him with the activity that he's not in compliance with? And that way you will avoid the presence of that behavior. So I hope that that can help with that child.
Thank you. We have one more question. How do you teach staff that do not have an educational background?
Well, one teacher at a time. That's how I call it, right? So it doesn't matter if you have tons of prior knowledge. Sometimes we have a lot of prior knowledge and we never use it. But maybe you would like to try one strategy at a time. So you have, right now we have tons of information available online, but let's try, for example, let's try to implement breathing exercises in every single classroom 2 or 3 times a day. Can we do that? Do we need training to do that? Maybe we can review the importance of breathing techniques. Maybe we can help children to understand what are the 2 different steps to practice breathing exercises. What are the different ways that we can practice breathing exercises? So you can help teachers to build their own toolkit, one strategy at a time. So review some of the strategies that we presented today in the presentation, and then pick and choose, like, this is easy for my teacher. She's a brand new teacher. She doesn't know. I can pick this one. You can offer different opportunities to move in the playground. You can practice transitions with movement. Those are the strategies that teachers can integrate every day. And if you have an incentive, and if everybody's doing it in the school and you can see it, that's how the magic works, right? When you see someone using it, and then you're like, well, practice this. If nothing else is working, why we cannot practice breathing exercises? And notice how in 2 weeks, and with a timeline, right? Like an objective with timeline, we're gonna practice breathing exercises 3 times a day for 2 weeks. Then we'll talk about how's it going. It's a little bit like of coaching between your teachers and colleagues, teachers and co-teachers. Yes, I see that somebody else says that you use an older mentor teacher that can help the new teacher in the classroom. The same way that we do with children is like a parallel process. The same thing that we do with children, we can do with our teachers. And the same way that we ask children to do things to calm down, we can do things to ourselves to calm down. So practice breathing exercises. Say to yourself how wonderful you are every morning before you're walking into your classroom, and smile more often. Remember that our brains do respond to our emotions. So instead of say one more day like this, and I'm gonna, don't say that to yourself. Don't say at 8:45, oh, this is gonna be a long day, because it's gonna be the longest day in history. Practice positive affirmations. Say, I can do this. I'm gonna try what that crazy lady said. I'm gonna smile. Now let me think about it. Your brain will help you to brainstorm ideas if he thinks you are okay. If you smile, you say, let me take a deep breath and think about now what. And practice the breathing exercise. You will notice that you're like, oh, that Play-Doh. Can you bring me that the album? Can you see the happy faces? Help your brain to assist you in that difficult moment.
Thank you so much, Sandy. We really appreciate you taking the time. We actually had a comment in there saying that this is one of the best training sessions they've ever attended, and that you're an incredible presenter. So thank you so much for taking the time out to speak to everyone who is here today and beyond. And thank you to the Discovery Source for this very exciting giveaway. And we do have one more kit that they're going to be giving away, and they will be choosing it from those who do complete the post-viewing survey that's going to pop up after we complete today's session. So please look forward to doing that, and we'll see you in our next webinar. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, very much.
Thank you.